Hey plant lovers, welcome back to our channel. Today we're uncovering a mystery that has puzzled gardeners, spiritual practitioners, and scientists for generations. The mystery of why money plants bloom. And what I discovered after months of research is going to completely shatter everything you thought you knew about this plant. Picture this. It's a quiet evening. You're walking past your money plant, that same vine you've had climbing your wall for years. You know every single leaf, every twist and stem, every spot where it wraps around the moss pole, and suddenly you freeze, because there, hidden among those familiar heart-shaped leaves, you see something you've never seen before in your entire life. A tiny cluster of pale white flowers, delicate, almost hidden, some still closed like little buds waiting to open. Your heart starts racing because you've owned money plants for maybe a decade. Your mother had one. Your grandmother had one hanging in her kitchen for 30 years. And across all those plants, all those years, nobody in your family has ever witnessed a single flower. Not once. So the question burning in your mind isn't just how did this happen? The real question is, what does this mean? Because here's what most people don't know. In cultures spanning from India to China, from West Africa to the Caribbean, from ancient temples to modern American homes, there's a belief that has been whispered through generations. When a money plant blooms, your fortune is about to shift dramatically. And here's what absolutely blew my mind during this research. The ancient spiritual explanation and modern scientific explanation point to the exact same conclusion from completely opposite directions. Today I'm going to prove it to you. Let's begin. First, you need to understand something fundamental. The money plant, scientifically called Epipremnum aureum, also known as Pothos or devil's ivy, is arguably the most popular houseplant on Earth. And the reason is brutally simple. This plant refuses to die. Low light, survives. Forgot to water it for 3 weeks? Still alive. Stuck it in a dark bathroom corner? Somehow thriving. That's why you see it everywhere. Office cubicles, college dorms, restaurant entrances, grandmother's kitchens where vines have been growing for decades, circling the entire room twice. It's the plant people buy when they've killed everything else. But here's the fascinating contradiction. Despite being nearly indestructible, money plant blooming is extraordinarily rare. I'm talking about people who've had this plant for 15, 20, even 30 years and have never seen a single flower. They've propagated it dozens of times, shared cuttings with friends, watched it grow 15 feet long, but flowers? Never. Then there are others who've had one for just 3 or 4 years, and suddenly those tiny cream-colored blooms appear overnight. So what's actually happening here? What triggers one plant to bloom while another never does? Is it random luck, or is there something much deeper going on, something the plant is responding to that we cannot immediately perceive? To understand this mystery, we need to start where these beliefs originated, with ancient wisdom traditions that have been observing this phenomenon for thousands of years. The money plant isn't called that by accident. The name comes from deep cultural roots, particularly Chinese Feng Shui and Indian Vastashastra, two ancient systems of spatial energy practice for millennia. In Chinese tradition, money plant represents flowing prosperity, the way vines continuously reach outward, always climbing, always expanding. That's exactly how wealth energy is supposed to move, never stagnant, always growing. Chinese business owners across America keep money plants near their cash registers not as decoration, but as energetic strategy, activating the wealth corner of their space. But when a money plant blooms, the interpretation shifts dramatically. It becomes an announcement. It means wealth energy has reached such elevated levels that the plant itself is celebrating. A Feng Shui master in Los Angeles told me something unforgettable. She's been practicing 40 years, working with tech entrepreneurs and restaurant owners alike. She said when clients tell her their money plant bloomed, she tells them to pay attention because within 90 days something financially significant will happen. A contract closes, a promotion arrives, an investment pays off. She's tracked this pattern for decades and says it holds over 80% of the time. The plant isn't predicting the future. She explained, it's confirming what's already in motion energetically. In Indian tradition, the connection runs even deeper. Money plant is associated with Goddess Lakshmi, deity of wealth and abundance. Families keep it specifically to invite her blessings, always ensuring it climbs upward toward higher energy, never touching the ground. When it blooms, traditional families interpret this as direct acknowledgement from Lakshmi herself. I discovered a powerful story from Kerala, South India. A family's money plant, growing for 12 years, bloomed unexpectedly in 2019. The grandmother immediately gathered everyone together and declared that Lakshmi had visited their home. 3 weeks later, the eldest son, unemployed for over a year, received a job offer from Dubai at triple his previous salary. When asked about it later, the grandmother said something profound. She said the plant doesn't create fortune. It recognizes the energy that fortune is already traveling on. The bloom signals that the path is clear. Remember that phrase because it becomes crucial when we examine the science. Caribbean and Latin American traditions add another fascinating layer. In Cuban, Puerto Rican, and Dominican communities, money plant is called millenaria, the $1,000,000 plant. There's a tradition that cuttings from thriving businesses transfer that prosperity energy to new owners. A Cuban botanica owner in Miami, a woman in her 70s whose family has practiced Santeria for generations, told me that blooming means the Orishas, spiritual guardians, are pleased with how you're managing resources. She said it's not about how much money you have. It's about how you treat what you have. Are you generous? Are you grateful? The plant blooms when the answer is yes. Then she told me something that gave me chills. Her grandmother's money plant bloomed exactly twice in 40 years. The first time was right before her grandfather's struggling business finally became profitable. The second time was 1 week before her grandmother passed away, and the family later discovered she had secretly paid off 3 neighbors' medical debts. The plant bloomed as spiritual acknowledgement of her generosity. Now here's what fascinates me most. All these traditions from completely different parts of the world, different religions, different belief systems, are essentially saying the identical thing. Money plant blooms when conditions are right, not just soil conditions, life conditions. And remarkably, that's exactly what modern science concludes, just using completely different language. From a botanical perspective, Epipremnum aureum blooming indoors is so rare that most professional horticulturists have never witnessed it. Research from University of Florida's Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences indicates indoor flowering wasn't even well documented until the late 1990s. Here's why. In nature, in Southeast Asian and Pacific Island rainforests where this plant originates, money plant climbs massive trees, reaching 40 to 60 feet high. It only blooms upon reaching full maturity at significant heights with specific light exposure and seasonal humidity shifts. In your living room, you're giving it a wall, maybe a moss pole, maybe a hanging basket. The plant stays in juvenile form indefinitely, those familiar heart-shaped leaves, thin stems, vining growth. It never matures, so it never blooms. But sometimes, when conditions align perfectly, something triggers a shift into reproductive mode. Scientists have identified 4 critical factors. First, maturity. The plant needs 8 to 10 years minimum to develop flowering capacity. Second, climbing height and light exposure. It needs to climb 6 to 10 feet while receiving bright indirect light for 6 to 8 hours daily. The higher it climbs, the more it mimics natural conditions, the more energy it accumulates through photosynthesis. Third, mild environmental stress. Not harmful stress, but positive signals like slightly reduced watering mimicking dry season, temperature fluctuations between day and night, signaling seasonal change, and roots becoming snug in their pot indicating maximized resources. These survival signals have been hardwired through millions of years of evolution. Fourth, and this is where everything connects, air quality and environmental stability. Here's what most people don't realize. Money plant is one of NASA's top air purifying plants. The 1989 NASA Clean Air Study found Pothos removes formaldehyde, benzene, xylene, and toluene from indoor air at remarkably high rates. But air purification requires massive energy. The plant constantly pulls volatile organic compounds from the air, breaks them down cellularly, converts them into harmless byproducts. That intensive biochemical work happening around the clock. When you first bring a money plant home, your space likely has new furniture off-gassing, paint releasing VOCs, cleaning products adding chemicals. The plant works over time detoxifying everything. But over years, the air quality improves. Furniture finishes off-gassing. You switch to natural cleaners. Ventilation improves. The plant's detoxification, workload decreases, and that surplus energy gets redirected toward growth, toward climbing, toward storing resources, and eventually, if age, light, height, and stress factors align, toward flowering. Do you see what this means? Science says money plant blooms when environment is stable, air quality is good, resources are abundant, and the plant feels secure enough to reproduce. Spiritual traditions say money plant blooms when home is good energy, resources flow properly, intentions are aligned, and space is harmonious enough for blessings. Two completely different vocabularies describing identical truth. The plant blooms when the environment is thriving. A home where money plant blooms is a home where someone pays attention. They provide proper light. They don't overwater. They let it climb. They maintain stable conditions for years. But here's the deeper insight. Someone paying that much attention to a plant is also paying attention to life itself. They notice details, create routines, stay patient when results take time, nurture growth without immediate gratification. That's not just good plant care. That's the exact same behavior pattern that creates prosperity in finances, relationships, and every other life domain. The Feng Shui master wasn't wrong saying the plant reflects the present, not predicts the future. The Indian grandmother wasn't wrong saying it recognizes energy. The Cuban botanica owner wasn't wrong saying it blooms when you treat resources with respect. They're all describing the same phenomenon science measures through environmental stability, air quality, and accumulated plant energy. Different languages, identical truth, and you're the one who creates that environment. Now here's exactly how to increase your chances of witnessing this rare bloom. Step 1. Give it height. Your money plant must climb, not just trail downward. Get a moss pole or train it up a wall using hooks. Aim for 6 to 8 feet of vertical growth minimum. Trailing plants stay juvenile forever. Climbing plants mature. Step 2. Provide bright indirect light for 6 to 8 hours daily. Near east-facing windows is ideal. If natural light is limited, use a full-spectrum grow light. Light equals energy. Energy equals blooming potential. Step 3. Water correctly. This is where most people fail. Let the top 2 inches of soil dry completely between waterings. Overwatering is the fastest way to prevent blooming. In summer, water every 7 to 10 days. In winter, every 2 to 3 weeks. And here's a crucial tip. In late fall, reduce watering by 20% for 4 to 6 weeks. This mild drought stress mimics dry season and signals reproductive mode. Step 4. Keep roots slightly snug. Don't repot into giant containers. When roots peek through drainage holes, that's actually optimal. Keep it there 1 full season before repotting. Root pressure creates the mild stress that triggers flowering. Step 5. Create temperature variation. Money plants prefer 65 to 85 degrees, but need nighttime drops to around 60 degrees to trigger blooming. If possible, place outside on covered porches during fall when natural temperature variations occur. Step 6. Fertilize strategically. Use balanced liquid fertilizer at half strength monthly during spring and summer only. Stop completely in fall and winter. The plant needs rest periods to accumulate energy. Over-fertilizing causes excessive leaf growth, but prevents flowering entirely. The final element is patience. You cannot force this. It takes years of consistent care. But here's what I want you to understand. The people whose money plants bloom aren't obsessing over their plants. They're building consistent routines and trusting the process. They're creating environments where thriving becomes inevitable. And that's the real secret this plant teaches us. The money plant flower lasts only 48 to 72 hours. Blooms open at night, release faint sweet fragrance, and close by morning. It's the most ephemeral thing this indestructible plant ever does. This vine that survives neglect, grows in dark corners, bounces back from near death. When it finally accumulates enough energy, enough stability, enough resources, it doesn't create something permanent. It creates something briefly beautiful. And there's profound wisdom in that. Prosperity isn't just accumulation. It's recognizing when you have enough to create something meaningful, even if it doesn't last forever. The bloom isn't the goal. The environment you built to make blooming possible That's the goal. Because that same patience, consistency, attention, and care that makes a money plant bloom is exactly what creates prosperity in every area of your life. Science, tradition, and spirituality all agree. Growth happens when conditions are right, and you have far more control over those conditions than you realize. So take care of your plant. Pay attention. Be patient. And when it blooms, remember, it's not magic, it's not luck. It's you. You created this. Has your money plant ever bloomed? Are you to try these steps? Tell me in the comments. If this opened your eyes, hit that like button and subscribe, because we're just getting started. Take care of your plants and take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one.